Welcome to Selective Hearing's Roundtable Podcast. This is episode 62. We talk about I-DLE World Tour I-DOL in cinemas review today. With me, I have two of our Selective Hearing staff with us today. Greg, how are you doing today, man?
Real good, Alan. Real good. Just chilling on what is a Sunday afternoon right now.
Yeah? And what are you drinking today?
Well, it's the middle of the day, so I'm just drinking water. No alcohol in the middle of the day for me.
Nice. Yeah, it's we decided to do an early recording, which is kind of different for us here. Awesome. And Ping, how you doing, man?
Hey, Alan. Good to hear your voice. I'm doing good. Thanks again for having me.
And what are you drinking today?
I am drinking some tea. It's a Korean brand called Osolok, and they have a Korean pear tea, which I really like. And I'm kind of fighting a little bit of congestion. Want to make sure that my voice doesn't sound super nasally during this podcast, so drinking some tea right now.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Hope your voice feels a little bit better.
How about you? What are you drinking?
I am drinking, hold on one second. It is Birdie Wild State. It is a THC infused sparkling tea. And I'm having the tropical green tea. It's a pineapple and mango mix with 10 milligrams of THC. This is probably my favorite out of all the THC drinks that I've had in the last couple months. I've kind of been on that kick ever since a friend introduced me, so I love it. We've been actually drinking a few of those in lieu of alcohol the last couple months, so cheers.
Cheers.
Alrighty, so all of us this past week had gone to see the I-DLE World Tour I-DOL in cinemas movie in theaters. So we thought about doing a little review after our screenings. So this is interesting because it's been almost a little bit more commonplace that they are doing more shows in movie theaters. So let's start with you, Greg. Have you watched any K-pop concerts in the movie theaters before?
The only one that I've watched is the aespa World Tour documentary last year. Other than that, nothing.
Nice. I saw that last year as well. What about you, Ping?
Yeah, so we actually have a new podcast here on Selective Hearing. It's my podcast called Diaries of an MZ Generation. And we actually discuss concert movies on that this past week, this last episode. I've seen a lot of K-pop concert movies in theaters. I've probably seen in the double digits, that's for sure. And yeah, I have a lot of feelings about K-pop concert movies in the theaters, so that's why we discussed it on the previous episode in my podcast.
Yes, it was actually a great discussion. I could align with y'all's thoughts on that one. Couldn't believe Justin had never seen one in the theaters before, but I can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, all kinds of people out there.
For me, I've only watched 6, and I've only watched 6. So if I go backwards, it would be I-DLE this couple days ago, aespa from last year, IU was also last year, I believe. Mamamoo, I think, was last year. I can't remember. My memory goes a little hazy after that. I remember checking out the NCT Dream one, and the first one I ever saw in theaters was actually the BTS Burn the Stage one. So I've watched a handful of them. Let's see.
That's more than a few people can say. So
I know, and it's getting really popular around Houston. So there tends to be like a lot of shows for everything. Um, I just remember the BTS one where there were people handing out like fan made photo cards and things like that. So I was like, oh, this is great.
so a lot of common practices that happen at regular concerts. Are people bringing light sticks to your shows over there?
When so I can remember the BTS one. I remember there were light sticks. NCT, I remember seeing their light sticks. It's a green NCT one, so I remember that. When I went to see Mamamoo, I may have only saw one or two, and then these last few ones, I didn't see any. And I, it's been very, I don't know. It feels different because I think even in certain theaters, there's like a rule that you can't bring any light sticks or anything like that. I don't know. I've always watched them in the same theater except for one, and I just I don't know. I don't think it would be out of the ordinary if I brought my G-Idle light stick. I think I would have been. I'm pretty sure I would have been the only one that I would have brought there. So
Really? Because at my show there was like two girls who brought their light sticks, and actually three, two girls and one guy who brought their light sticks, and they were pretty hardcore about using them.
Wow. I guess New York is just too chill guy for that.
I don't know. If I sat in the back, I probably would have had my light stick have gone a little crazy and whatnot. But I have a feeling like I don't know if like sitting in the back is like the best for these types of shows, anyways. Let's talk about the actual G-Idol screenings that we all went to. Was it easy? Like, okay, we have the website. You go to, gidolandcinemas.com and you plug in your zip code and everything. It shows you all the shows that are available to you. Greg, were there plenty of screenings available for you to watch?
I'm in Canada, of course not. But for me, in my city, I'm in Calgary, by the way. There was one in the Northeast and one in the South on Wednesday. And then there was another repeat screening on Saturday. So the closest one to me is in the Northeast, so that's like 15 minutes away from my house. So that's the one I chose.
And how far is the other one?
The other one's on the other side of the city, so that's probably like another 45 minutes to an hour by car if traffic is good.
Ping, what about you? I'm sure you had a lot of places that you could have gone to.
Yeah, so up here in New York City or the New York City area, there's a lot of locations. So I think that might contribute to why the auditoriums aren't as packed. But the one I went to was about 20 minutes away. And there wasn't any showings in my immediate area, but you don't have to go further than like half an hour to hit up like four different theaters that are showing the movie.
And for me, the theater I went to they were one of the first to actually do a lot of the concert stuff. So it's about 15 minutes away, but then there was a lot of AMCs that showed up and started. I don't know when they first got on board doing this, but I remember years ago, like I would never see an AMC; it would always be like a Cinemark or something. But now a lot of AMCs are doing it. Oops, a lot of AMCs are doing it now. Um, in fact, one of the AMCs that I used to work at high school now shows a lot of these shows, and it was one of the packed ones. It was almost like it was sold out, so I couldn't even go to that one if I wanted to. So I went to another one that was about 15 minutes away that actually had the Screen X and everything like that. Greg, Which did they have just normal screenings for you? Screen X? What options did you have?
My theaters are Screen X only, so no IMAX, no 4DX, no regular 2D, just Screen X.
And Ping, what about you?
Yeah, so over here, pretty much just 2D screenings. There were a few 4DX screenings, but I'm not sure they were true 4DX. So we didn't have any Screen X showing. So I'm not sure if that's because of the availability of those auditoriums. I'm sure in like Midtown Manhattan, there was a proper 4DX theater. But yeah, I went to the 4DX screening and it was not what I expected.
And then for me, we don't have any options for 4DX. So only thing available was just a normal 2D and the Screen X, and that's the one I went into. Greg, you were mentioning earlier that you had technical difficulties at your show. What was going on?
So the side screens for Screen X, they didn't turn on when the concert started, and right at the end of the first song, they turned off the movie. And then the usher said, we're going to turn on the screens on the side. So, of course, everyone groaned.
So was it somebody that complained that the screens weren't on, or did they just notice that, oh, the screens aren't on, we got to fix this?
I think it was the projectionist who noticed that the screens on the side weren't on. No one in the theater actually noticed that the screens were supposed to be on the side. I don't think they've ever been to a Screen X before, other than me, because no one else complained. Not like it made a difference, though. Yeah, after the first song, they stopped the movie, and then they started it from the trailers.
From the trailers?
Yes, from the trailers.
Because certain trailers would also be taking advantage of Screen X too, right?
Yes. So they started from the trailers, and then we got halfway through Super Lady, and they turned the movie off again.
What?
Because the screens weren't working.
Oh, I see.
And then another 10 minutes, and then they turned it on from just before the beginning of the first song, and then the screen started working. So then I think I saw Super Lady like 3 times, basically.
Well, at least they were trying. I mean,
yeah, at least they tried to get it working properly. So can you guys tell me, because my 4DX theater did not have the screens on the sides, which I thought it was going to have. What do they play on the side screens?
It's basically additional B-roll footage. So you'll see the main stage on the center screen, and then on the sides maybe you'll see an extended view of the stage, or you'll see shots of the crowd or whatever B-roll they had. But it's nothing that adds to the actual experience.
So it wasn't like an extension of the main screen. It was just random footage?
It kind of is. It mainly is. So, like, for example, when they would focus on whoever's singing, like let's say if it's Soyeon in the middle, if you look on the left or right, it would be the other 2 girls on the left and right. So it is kind of an extension of the stage. I remember liking it too, like if you were watching the side screens at a live concert, that's what the live screens would have at first. I guess for me, when I was watching it, I kind of took the aespa one and compared it a little bit to the I-DLE one. When my friends and I went to see the aespa one, it almost felt like it wasn't super necessary. You could see like the stadium seats on the left hand side. You could see crowd shots and everything like that. So it's almost kind of like, did you really need it? Not really, because they would always be good about focusing on the girls in the center stage. In the G-Idol one, what I noticed was when they did like a single shot, you would get the other two girls on one side, the other two girls on the other side. I even remember when they were doing some of the when they had some of the graphics on the screen, like the fire and things like that, they would overlay the crowd shots and everything on the sides with similar graphics. So if there were stars on the screen, cool, there'll be stars on the left and then stars on the right. If there's fire on the screen, cool, they'll put a little bit of fire and flames on the left and on the right. I even remember the drone shots, and when they were like zooming in to do like the drone shots, you kind of get those like speed lines or whatnot where it kind of zooms in to the center. So I kind of noticed all those things because it wasn't during the ESPA one.
Wow. I'm really disappointed because I went to see the 4DX one and there was nothing on the sides. I thought there was going to be stuff on the sides and there wasn't, but it sounds like I missed out not having the screens on the sides. And honestly, the 4DX one, it was like $10 more than the standard screening, but I don't think those effects, like at least for me, I think those effects were just like a gimmick and not really contributing to the movie at all. But it sounds like not having the screens on the sides is kind of a downer because I'd like to see what else is going on.
I like it. I could say, I will say it does get a little overbearing. It really depends on where you sit. I sat on the very second to last back row, so I could see everything. So I felt like maybe I would say the last third or fourth of the show, I was like, man, this is like visual overload for a little bit. I felt like if you sat closer, you get the big screen and then you have the option of moving your head left and right to kind of see that. For me, I didn't want to move my head left and right as much, but I got basically an eyeful of everything that was coming at me. So it can be a little bit overbearing, but I like it. I did notice that some people were saying that the actual Screen X screens might be better maintained, depending on your movie theater, of course, but the screens themselves may be better maintained than just like a normal screening show. And I have to say the actual screen, the main screen at our Screen X show, it was pristine. Like it was like super 4K HD. I don't know the terms in the movie theaters now, but it was very, very clean. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
What is the price increase for the Screen X over a standard screening?
I think mine was $4 more. So the normal 2D show was like $15, and then I remember paying $19 before tax. So it just made sense. I was like, okay, $4 for a better looking screen and, more to look at.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah, I think that's completely worth it. I don't think 4DX is worth it unless you get the screens on the sides too. But the theater that I went to didn't have the screens on the sides. I gotta try a different Regal Cinema. But the other one that probably has it is like in the middle of Times Square, New York City, and I really don't want to go there. I have to go there for work all the time. I don't want to go there just to watch a movie, but I might have to try it. So
what were, I guess, your details or your perks while you were watching your 4DX one?
Yeah, so this was my first 4DX movie just in general. I think the only 4DX type of movies that I've seen before are like in Disney World or something where you're on the ride and then they do those things to you, right? But this is my first experience at a movie theater for 4DX, and I wanted to try it because I have a friend who told me for after the ESPA movie, he said, if you're not watching it in 4DX, why even bother watching? So I wanted to see this one in 4DX. And honestly, I was really disappointed. Pretty much all it was still the same size. It was still the screen. Obviously, it was a lot nicer than a standard screen because, as you mentioned, it feels a lot more high quality, the playback or the projection or whatever they do. But there was no screens on the side. They had these chairs that would rock, essentially. It would basically, as the cameras were moving, the chairs would move with it on those drone type of shots that you mentioned earlier. Sometimes during certain songs, it would shake or rumble. It would blast air either from the front or from the back, depending on the stage effects that were going on. Sometimes when something was happening on the screen, or if there was confetti or something that was happening on the show, it would drop down some what looked like either bubbles or fake snow. And on the sides, there were some flashing lights once in a while. At one point, it looked like there was water coming from the ceiling, but I don't know if it was actually water because I tried to feel. I was wearing a hat, so I wouldn't feel it on my head. So I tried to like put my hand above my chair and like wave it around, but I couldn't feel anything. But in front of me, I could see something coming from the ceiling. So yeah, I mean, they pulled out all the stops, I guess, but I don't think it really adds anything to the experience, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I was talking to Justin on our other podcast, and he was saying that would be a big reason that he would go. So I guess everybody's different, but for me, I don't think it was worth it.
I was hearing that, or I was reading that the 4DX, when the seats would shake, they actually shake during certain key spots in the choreography. Did you feel that?
Yeah. Those are the shaking moments that I had mentioned. So with the drone, when the camera, depending on the camera movement, it would tilt, and then during certain parts of the choreography, it would shake. That's essentially how it worked. I don't think it added anything, but I could help you keep awake, I guess, if you're falling asleep.
I kind of shy away from a 4DX because I remember watching one of the Superman movies in 4DX, and there was a part where they zoomed in down on the Kent farm, and just for some reason that one shot made me feel so motion sick that I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna do 4DX anymore. I didn't finish the movie because that's how bad it got to me. I'm pretty sure it'd be a lot different now, but
No, I think, no, I think if you have motion sickness, you shouldn't do 4DX.
yeah. Greg, would you do a 4DX show?
I did a 4DX show in Osaka at Universal Studios Japan. It was at Evangelion ride.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was a trip.
was it good?
It was good. I probably wouldn't do it again just because it was so short and the price was very high for it. If it was longer, then yeah, I'd probably do it again, but not for a really short ride.
But I mean, just the 4DX experience in general. Did you like that?
Yeah, it was pretty trippy. I didn't mind it. They did warn us ahead of time that you're gonna get sprayed in the face with water. There's gonna be wind. The chairs are going to move. So if you're not comfortable with that, I guess hold on and don't puke. But otherwise, yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. It was fun.
Hold on and don't puke.
Yeah. Well, if you've seen Evangelion the anime, then you know that if you're in those giant Avas, then there's a lot of shit going on in there. That's what they tried to simulate. So those chairs were rocking.
So you felt like Shinji and getting the robot?
I probably felt more like Ray, but yeah.
How packed was your screening, guys? Greg, you only had a few folks?
Everyone came late. Typical Asians came late. So I looked at the map, and there was supposed to be about, I'd say around 15 people all sitting around me. Like I sat at the very top row. And yeah, it was just maybe like me, and 4 girls at first, and then a whole bunch of Asian dudes came in hella late, and that was it. Nobody else.
And how were they reacting like throughout the movie? Were they going nuts? Were they being very respectful?
The 2 girls across from me in my row were Mion fans, so every time Mion came on the screen, they pretty much marked out.
My people.
Yeah. and they used their light sticks very liberally, like not the regular, non-flashing effect, but the strobe effect on the light stick.
What? Come on.
Yeah. And
Dang,
That would
I
be
wouldn't have
annoying.
done that.
That would be annoying.
Yeah.
and there's also one of the Asian dudes who also used the strobe effect, but I think he realized that people would be looking at him kind of funny, so he stopped doing it.
And they were like this pretty much the whole show.
Well, the 2 Asian girls across from me, yes, they were acting as if they were actually there. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Ping, what about for you?
So I had a private screening. I was alone.
Oh,
And
all by yourself. Awesome.
yeah, but I think people got the word that 4DX was not it. And I'm not going back for a 4DX at that theater anymore.
Were you able to see the non-4DX show? Like, did you see how many people were reserved there?
Yeah, there was a few people, but I was checking it like days before. So when I booked my ticket, it was a day before. And when I was looking at other theaters the week before, there were seats that were taken, but I had already put in my mind that I'm going to pick up that 4DX ticket the day before. And the day before, I literally just went straight to the website, bought the ticket, and yeah, I showed up and private screening.
So you had free reign to mark out and go crazy, right?
I did, but I didn't.
What? Wait, you didn't scream "Marry Me, Mion" repeatedly?
No.
No.
Maybe if they had the water effect when she was on stage.
For me, during our show, I would say we had about like 10 or so people. There was a couple and they brought their light sticks, but it wasn't strobe function or anything. In fact, they were near the front of everybody else, but they kind of gave up around like halfway. So they kind of put their light stick in the cup holder. There was a middle-aged father who took his daughter and friend to the show. It was really interesting because I could see his phone, and his daughter was like showing him like the Spotify playlist of the concert. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because he was scrolling through trying to see what songs were coming up, and I was like, I wonder how that goes. I don't have any friends with kids that are old enough to go to like a concert or anything right now. So I wonder what that conversation was like. Like, hey, can we go watch this show, or can you take us to see a Korean concert?
Are you sure he wasn't
funny.
scrolling through the playlist to see how many songs were left in the show so he could get out of there?
I don't know. It was very early. It was very early that I saw him whip out the phone to talk to his daughter. It was like during the intro. So after that, I really wasn't paying attention. What was I going to say? And then there were these 2 guys in front of me that I knew were fans, because everybody was bobbing their head a lot to the music, but these guys were going crazy. So every time Mion shows up on the screen, they're like, "Oh, that's your girl over there." I was like, oh, these are my people.
My people again.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is going awesome for them. And you could tell, like, they were having fun and everything. So and they were all pretty respectful. I mean, nobody was jumping up and down. If we were singing, like, I felt like I was probably singing a little bit too loud, but I was to myself. But everybody else was kind of being very respectful. They weren't singing too loud or anything like that, but you could tell everybody was having fun, even the old guy that was there. But it was great. I liked it. So let's kind of talk about the actual movie, quote unquote, concert itself. Like, what what were your thoughts, kind of like heading into the show? Actually, let me ask Greg this. Greg, you saw them in this last tour, right?
Nope. I was still suffering PTSD from Seattle, so I didn't go.
Gotcha. So you kind of went in fresh on this one here. What did you think about the show?
Makes me wish I bought tickets to the show. Damn it. This was way better than what I barely saw in Seattle, so kind of sad that I missed out on this concert tour. So I know it's not. I know the stuff in outside of Korea is not as elaborate and fancy, but looking at the set list and what they did, it probably still would have been a kick-ass show.
Yeah, the set list was pretty much identical to the one that they showed here in Houston, minus the last two songs. But that was about like a whole month's difference from when they did the one in Korea versus the one here in Houston. Ping, you saw them when they came here last year, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually a really big Idol fan. And if you didn't know, whoever's listening, I'm a big Miyeon fan. She's like one of my favorite idols. You haven't figured that out already. And Idol really did it the right way. They came the first time they came over, it was for KCON. And then the next time they came over for their own tour, it was at a small venue, and then they sized up to a theater-sized venue after that. And then their most recent tour last year was an arena-sized tour. And then in Korea, I think they did Kespo Dome, which is like one of the largest venues in Korea. So they've definitely grown in a big way. When I saw the show in New York, I thought it was a great show. The set list was great. And that was kind of what I was expecting going into the movie. I just figured it'd be the same stuff. I didn't really think too much about it, honestly. But watching the show, I realized they put way more effort into the Korea show. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons for that. The venue size, the amount of fans that were going to be there, being the home city essentially for the group. But you mentioned that the last two songs were different. They were the songs that I was expecting them to perform in their US tour. I was really disappointed with the encore songs in the US tour last year. So to see them do the songs that I wanted them to do in this movie, I was very excited and happy about that.
Yeah, I remember when they were doing the last couple songs, I was like, I had a flashback in my brain. I was like, I don't remember these songs on tour. So it was different. And
Yeah, so during the tour they did their English songs, which are nice, but they're not encore songs. The songs that they did for the Seoul concert and for the movie are the true Idol encore songs. They're the songs that if you're a fan of Idol, those are the songs that you're expecting, which are basically their fan songs. It's much more hype. It gets the fans more involved. The English songs are kind of a downer, so it wasn't really fun in person.
so for me, when I always will have a special place for G Idol when I see them when I see them live. Like when they came around here for their first tour in the smaller theater, I just remember randomly, you know what? I'm gonna try to get a VIP, and I wasn't like super hardcore into them. When I saw them, managed to get VIP. Was super impressed with their show at the time. I actually blamed them because I got COVID right after the show, but so that's always a fun story to tell. But when they came around for the I-DOL tour this year, man, it was great. It was one of the it was very highly produced when I was there, and it kind of showed in the movie as well. I could always see a few differences because by the time Idol came to Houston, the big wife wig had a huge dent in it. And then when I saw it on screen, I was like, yep, no dents on that one. So it was always cool kind of comparing a few things like that. I really enjoyed the concert for what it was. I remember being bias wrecked by Mion in Houston, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's so pretty." And seeing it on the big screen, it was like I was like remembering those feelings of like being in the concert with my buddies and the people going crazy in front of us. I I I was like, man, I really wish I could experience this again. So part of me was hoping or hopes that they'll come back. And throughout the show, I just was kind of having those feelings on that one.
Well, they re-signed with Cube, so you can expect them to be back. But who was your bias?
Hooray. Uh, Mini, but Mion is like, I don't know. They're both really pretty. I don't know. Mion, man, she was just always in my vision during Houston, and I was just, I remember just like saying to my buddies, I was like, gosh, she's so pretty. What the hell, man? So I guess I'm in between both of them.
The two same age friends. Minnie just came out with her solo, so a good one. I think Mion came out with Skywalking late last year too. So
Skywalking, her, oh man, I didn't realize. So in Houston, she was on an elevated platform with a bunch of fireworks coming from the ground. I didn't realize in Korea she was, hanging from the ceiling on, one of those lifts, and the fireworks are shooting down. So I didn't realize that. Minnie was riding the little moon. I was like, oh man, where was all of this during the tour?
yeah, the production level for the Seoul concert was just on another level.
Yeah. But I still can piece together. I was like, okay, I remember the graphics. I remember Oogie's solo and the graphics of like the phone call conversation. I was like, oh, these are really cool. I remember those very fondly.
Yeah, I would say for Uki, Shuha, and Soyeon, their performance production levels were pretty much the same as their US tour, but Minnie and Mion's solo performances in Seoul were just crazy. They were so just like the being suspended in air for both of them
Yeah.
was a really great visual.
It's different. I would try to imagine if like I was on the floor trying to look, all the way up, put my head back and be like, okay, I'm watching watching them singing from the top. But I guess I'll never experience that anytime soon. I do remember Shua's dance solo, but the soul concert had her at the end, getting water, falling down on her. There was that waterfall and everything. I was like, dang, we didn't get that. All the little extras that kind of stand out. They look amazing on the big screen, but it's like the little things like that kind of they would have to kind of skip out if they were doing a world tour and stuff.
Yeah, so that Shuhua waterfall thing was when I thought I saw the water at the 4DX, but I couldn't figure out what it was.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was on the screen.
No, 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 no. In the 4DX, I could
No, but
see
it was like
water.
really in front of you.
Yeah, there was water in front of me, but I couldn't figure it out. Yeah.
I just want to add on to one of Alan's points because he did remind me of something when I was watching the show. God damn, that Mion's a fucking bias record. Jesus Christ.
Wait, is Minnie your bias too? I can't remember.
Yes, she is. And just like when I was watching the Espa Winter ruined everything, now we have Mion ruining everything for me. So,
I know. Right?
oh, yeah, but she did light up the screen, so I mean, that I didn't mind that. But
The Mion the Mion fans in front of me kind of was they were marking out silently. I could see them. They were like, "Ooh, Skywalker!" Oh, it was great. It was great. So your bias can be wrecked even on a movie. Don't have to be there live.
that is true. It doesn't matter if you're there or if you're watching it on the screen. Your bias will get wrecked.
I will say it felt like they paid a little bit more attention to the Minnie and Mion solos. I don't know. It could just be me, but
But they're solos.
the
Like,
camera
what
work.
else would they?
No, the camera work was
Oh.
just incredible during those parts. So it felt different for me compared to the other three girls, where I don't know. It it was really
Mookie's
nice.
was a little different because I remember she had the little GoPro in the shopping cart, and they went to that like maybe only twice. And then I remember her and the dancers crossing the stage, both left and right stage, a few times. I remember that, but like I guess like you were saying, it's different when she's going all over the place and Minnie and Mion are kind of stationary and they have to do different angles for them.
Yeah, I think it has to. Now that you mention it, it does have to do with like the types of songs that they were singing. Mion and Minnie were both doing ballad type of songs, whereas Uki and Soyeon were more dance performance type of music, and obviously Shuha was just a dance cover.
Like I remember, like from where I was sitting at their concert, Soyeon sing solo. She was kind of way too far, so I would have to look at the screen to see, her face and everything. And I just don't remember like her changing clothes. I don't remember her putting on clothes. So when she did her solo, I was questioning myself. I was like, yeah, I remember the leopard print. I remember she had shorter hair, but I don't remember her putting on, doing a wardrobe change in front of us. So
It was pretty much exactly the same in the U.S.
they had they had her clothes hanging from like a bar and things.
Yep.
She just pulled them off.
Yep.
Gosh, I don't remember that at all.
Probably because you were looking at the screen, but I was barricade right there, so I could see it happening.
Oh, maybe that's right. Let me think. Let me think. What other big did you Ping? Did you have any other big realizations um, during the show comparing to the live concert?
Not really. I already mentioned you could tell immediately the huge difference in production level. But I think that's to be expected just because it's a larger venue. It's also a smaller country and they have access to these types of production effects that they might not necessarily have in the United States, at least, with the amount of preparation that they would need to do for him. The set list, again, it was pretty much exactly the same except for the end. So I already mentioned how much I preferred the encore in Korea versus the encore that we got in the States. And yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a great show. It was pretty much everything that I expected.
Now, we all watched the ESPA one, right? So remind me, they did a lot of like sit down interviews with the girls throughout the show, right? Like they were on a chair and they were interviewing them before certain songs.
Essentially, they did one interview that they cut in through the movie, and then at the
Yeah.
end of the interview, they led them into this theater where there was like questions or something, or like fighting messages, like cheering messages for the girls, and that was like the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Now, do you? I know you were mentioned this on your podcast where they have like kind of the documentary behind the scenes type of thing. Do you prefer now that the G-Idol one? It was nothing like that. It was just concert, song, and after song after song, back and forth, back and forth. Do you prefer one or the other?
Yeah, so for me personally, I think the most important thing is to have every song that was performed at the concert in the movie, unless it's like a specific cover, maybe a certain thing like special stages. You don't necessarily need to have that in the movie, but as far as discography wise, if you're gonna perform that song, I want to see that in the movie theater. So for the Idol movie, they showed all the songs. At least as far as I didn't actually check the Seoul set list and compared it to the movie set list and see if there was any difference. But assuming that there wasn't, it was a great, it was great just to see every song performed. Whereas in the aespa movie, they didn't do that.
They did every song. I checked it myself because I was like, when they did so many, I was like, did they cover all of them? But yeah, so they did every song just like you were assuming on that.
Yeah, I mean, it allows for a shorter runtime to not include any fluff or extra stuff. It's not necessarily fluff if you do it properly, but I mentioned on the DMZ podcast that I do, the optimal concert movie, in my personal opinion, is having a full documentary style where it could be. So the Idol movie was an hour and a half. You could have added half an hour of behind the scenes preparation, this or that, but it's a lot more work. It's just a lot more time, a lot more budget, but at least it's more interesting. I think there's a place for both. So I enjoyed the Idol movie much more than the aespa one.
Oh wow! So you just like straight up concert footage rather than interview footage.
No, I love interview footage, but the way that aespa did it,
Oh, the pacing of it.
the pacing of the aespa movie wasn't that great. Watching the performances for the aespa movie were great, but I didn't like how they rearranged songs. I didn't like how they rearranged the set list. I don't like how they took out parts of the set list. I feel like they kind of did Giselle dirty at the end. So yeah, there's a lot of things about the aespa movie that I didn't like, but I obviously the performances were amazing. Seeing it in the theater.
Okay, got it. Just to answer Alan's question, for me, I prefer straight up concert usually, because I didn't go to this one, so this was my G-Idol concert experience for this tour. So I was happy to see that. At least I was able to see like full songs. Like you guys said, the full set list except for 2 songs was there. So I was pretty happy that a lot of the songs that I like were on the show. Even seeing Super Lady 3 times, totally fine with that.
That's actually a great point though, because if you haven't seen the show, just for the sake of time, it's nicer, more focused on just performances is kind of nice. I think the Idol movie was just an hour and a half long, which was great. I think.
Yeah, because with J-pop, I'm used to the AKB type of documentaries, where it's mostly backstage stuff and then maybe a few performances, but lots of backstage stuff. This was the opposite of that, where it's just straight up show, I got to see what I missed. Felt a bit sad inside that I didn't get to see it live, but now I have motivation to maybe sign up for I-DLE the next time they come to the States.
So when I went to see Mamamoo, I remember they were showing like behind the scenes of them doing each other's solos. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is stuff I would usually, see on YouTube. It was kind of like, dance practices and things like that. I was like, oh, they're putting this in the movie. And of course they had interviews with the girls and talking about the group throughout the show. And I kept thinking, because that's how I figured all of these movie concerts was gonna be. Like the NCT Dream one I saw was similar, the BTS one was similar. It wasn't until I watched the IU one where it was just straight concert. I was like, oh, we don't need to know all the backstage stuff and things like that. I was like, song after song after song at the concert. I was like, okay, I kind of like this. And then when I went to see but they did the interviews and the songs that were different. I was like, oh man, like it felt a little off when I was watching it. And then for I was like, oh man, straight into the concert, let's go. And everybody was pretty excited and hyped pretty much the whole time through. I was thinking back to the actual concert. I actually looked at all the old photos and videos of when I caught them in Houston. So I was like, man, that really got me super excited. So I think I also may prefer the just straight concert on that one there. If it was like if it was new people watching the show, it'd be nice to see like, how, they do member intros and things like that. But I think if you're a fan, you would be gone. You kind of know all the details or most of the details heading into the show about the group anyways.
I think the problem is you guys haven't seen a well-made documentary style concert movie. You guys haven't watched the Beyonce one, right? I keep talking about Beyonce, but
no, because it was always super packed anytime I would go or try to go or anything like that.
Greg, you mentioned something about like the J-pop style, and that really sounds off-putting to me, doing it that way. I think you have to have all the performances in the movie, but I think if you have a well-paced, well-directed concert movie that includes behind-the-scenes footage, I think that is the superior form of a concert movie. Because like what aespa did, I could see what they were trying to do, but it doesn't work. And like
it slowed down the show for me when they did, kind of break off from song and want to go behind the scenes and stuff. I remember it just kind of like put the show to kind of like a screeching halt. I get that's the idea, but I'm kind of like, oh man, let's get to the next song.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the documentary style is better for fans, because you actually learn more about the process. Whereas if you're a casual, you may not even care about the members. You don't care how they did it. You just want to see the songs, right? So there's definitely something to be said for both, or all types of cases for the concert movies. But I think when it comes down to it, a concert movie is still a movie, and it could be good, it could be bad. It just depends on how it was put together.
Yeah, I hope we do get more of these, and I hope we get someone that would actually be able to properly pace it and make it feel like the ideal documentary movie that you were talking about.
Well, just like with anything, direction, it's what the individual's vision is. So my specific vision may not align with people in Korea's vision. So, and it doesn't align with your guys' vision either. So, every person's different.
Yeah, can't please everyone. But I think with the last two that we were talking about with aespa and G-Idol there, yeah, there's definitely a contrast of styles. But it seems like with aespa they were kind of catering to casuals a little bit more because they're asking them all these questions that fans would already know. But that's just the way I saw it. With I-DOL, it was more like we made this big achievement. We got to this big venue. Here's our kick-ass show. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I just think the aespa movie did it wrong. But the performances were great still.
I'm surprised. I ended up being a little surprised after the G-Idol one because I was like, oh, they didn't do any behind the scenes stuff. Oh, they didn't mention, like, this was just the first, I guess in Korea it would have been one of the first couple of shows during the concert. We didn't get to see like any footage from other cities, other countries. We didn't get to see like Soyeon crying on stage because her grandmother passed away while she was on tour and things like that. So I'm surprised they kind of kept it. Well, not surprised, but I'm just. It was different that they didn't go too deep into like the backstage stuff on that one.
I feel like generally those are how K-pop concert movies are. Maybe recently people are trying to get a little bit more creative with it, but at the very minimum, they had multiple nights of the Seoul concert. I would have liked to have seen some type of stage mix or changes and whatever outfits that hairstyles. But, I guess they just wanted to keep it as simple as possible, and they did it.
Now, would you guys recommend this movie to anybody? Like, let's say if they were a casual K-pop fan, they didn't really follow the group. Would you guys recommend the show to them?
I don't think this is the one to recommend.
I don't know. I would have been like, hey, do you want to see a cool concert with, some great songs and that was taped in Korea with some pretty girls? Maybe it was just it was better off for us because we've been following them, so that's probably why it's so much better for us. I'm guessing if somebody was just super casual, probably wouldn't enjoy the show.
I don't know if I don't think they would necessarily not enjoy it. I think surely they would enjoy it because I-DOL are great performers, but I think I-DOL is a little bit kind of niche. As far as their music goes, it's not standard pop music.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but that's my opinion. It's if I knew a casual fan who dabbles in K-pop, I'm not telling them about the I-DOL movie. Maybe a different movie, IU. But the IU movie was kind of long. Yeah, I don't know, because it's hard to recommend concert movies in general because I feel to spend an hour and a half to 3 hours of your life watching these performances, I think you have to be at least somewhat of a fan of the group. If you have it on in the background, maybe this would be a great one to have on in the background because it's all performances and it's good. It's good where, like, let's say you're in the middle of a party or something, you just have it on in the background. Maybe you're having a K-pop party, and then you see what's on the screen, and it's a performance. And then you look away and you look back, and it's another performance. If it's aespa or any other type of documentary movie, you look back and they're talking, and it's like not really that interesting. But again, like if I'm trying to sell a K-pop or a casual fan to K-pop, I'm not selling them. I'm not pushing the I-DOL movie.
Just out of curiosity, other than the IU movie, what would you push?
Man, putting me on the spot because I would really need to think about it. Probably the Blackpink movie, either of the Blackpink movies, or even the Blackpink documentary on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I watched that one. I didn't even know anything about Blackpink back then.
Yeah, those were well made, simple, but well made. The Blackpink ones are good because Blackpink in general has music that is very popular. It's not as niche as G-Idol, and it's globally recognized. A lot of people know who Blackpink are, even if they haven't listened to them. So I think if I was to recommend a K-pop movie, it would definitely be the Blackpink one. Now that we're discussing it more, BTS is kind of an easy answer, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I think Blackpink would be an easier gateway drug.
Now, do you feel like if you were a huge fan of G-Idol, would you tell them to go out and watch the movie as well?
Yeah, 100%. If you haven't seen this movie and you're a G-Idol fan, you're not a G-Idol fan. Nebaba, you're not a Nebaba.
Never. I did tell a lot of my friends that when I was going to the Wednesday show, they ended up watching the Saturday show. And my buddy Alex was like, "You're right, man. It was definitely worth it to go." I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, it's only $20. If you're a G-Idol fan and you're not watching this movie in the theater, that's a shame.
It's like the best deal. It's almost like the best deal as not even just a G-Idol fan, but like a K-pop fan. You can go see a show on the big screen for $20 and you get an hour and a half at least of entertainment.
The performances were great, so 100%.
Okay, do you guys have any other thoughts about the actual movie itself?
I look forward to finding a copy on home video for my collection.
Gotcha. Which is weird because I wonder if you can get like a Screen X formatted, version of the concert somewhere. I don't know how would that work.
Nah, I wouldn't want a Screen X version. I just want a standard version.
Bing, did you have any other thoughts about the show?
Yeah, I can't wait for it to be. Well, hopefully it's going to be available on Blu-ray or something because I would really like to watch this concert again on my fancy OLED TV and my home surround sound system. I'd love to hear and see what that's like in an even more casual environment.
Oh, would you set up your own home 4DX so that the water actually splashes on you this time?
With
I'm good.
Come on, you gotta get the fake sweat going on, splashing all over.
I'll pause the movie and jump in the shower real quick. So, what would you guys rate the movie out of 10?
Damn, that's hard since I've only seen two. This one and Espo. I guess I give it a solid 8.
8? Oh man.
I'm gonna give it a 9 because I feel like I wish I could. I would better. I'm in better space to rank the movies from top to bottom, the ones that I saw, and I feel like the IU one is like the pinnacle that I've seen in the movie theater and whatnot. Even though it was like super long, this one I just had a lot of fun with, so I'll probably give this one a 9.
Yeah, I'm giving this one a 9 as well. I think I gave the Espa movie like a 7.5 or an 8 just because of the quality of performances, but this was vastly superior compared to the Espa movie. And I have to agree with Alan. Like, the IU movie is probably my 10. That's probably my favorite K-pop concert movie that I've watched, which was long. It was like 3 to 3.5 hours.
It was a long show. I had people in our theater that was falling asleep. That's how comfortable it was.
But it was a good show, so.
Oh, it was a good show, yeah. So we do have a couple of shows that are coming out soon that I'm super excited for. I think, is it Ive that's next?
IU is next.
So she's getting IMAX options here in Houston.
I'm watching IMAX.
I think I'm going to watch in IMAX as well.
I need that audio.
She has a Screen X option. Maybe I'll just do IMAX because I don't know if I need Screen X for IU on this one.
I don't know, those crowd shots.
I don't know, man. I gotta see 40-foot IU instead.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So she's next, and then it's Ive next.
Yeah. Ive would be a Screen X one.
I don't have the listing in front of me, but that would probably, like, I'm super casual when it comes to Ive. You guys are more knowledgeable in the group, so this would probably be the only time I've seen any Ive concert. So I'm actually kind of excited for that one.
The IVE concert last year was my favorite concert of 2024. So IVE was number 1, IU was number 2, and then I would have to think about number 3. But yeah, I went to see that show twice last year, so I'm super excited for the movie, which is coming out at the end of February.
I'm super casual with Ive, so I'm wondering if I'll have a high regard for the movie too.
You're an Eyes One fan, so you're gonna love it.
Yeah, but Wonyoung and Yujin were like bottom of my favorites, so that's why I don't really keep up with them.
You're gonna regret it if you don't go.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, all right, I'll go because they do the weird thing where it's Wednesdays and Saturdays, so I'll have the options to watch either or. And then Red Velvet, their tickets are being sold on the 5th, but they're not available yet. I'm sorry, they're like the shows aren't. They're only in different countries right now, and
Yeah, we're flying to Serbia, right?
shit, man.
I'm so confused about that because on everything that I see, the tickets should already be available by now, but I don't see any showings in the US. So maybe they're not showing it in the US? I don't know.
It says limited screenings begin February 5th. And then I remember posting that one picture in Discord, but it was literally no countries near us. It was tickets available on the 31st and it's all Middle Eastern countries and Taiwan and Thailand, Portugal, Europe countries. So I'm like, I guess we're not getting the shows yet. So
Hopefully they bring it over. Maybe it's just a case of not having space in the auditoriums or something.
maybe that would be probably the only time I'll be able to see Red Velvet in concert. I mean, I have a lot of their concert DVDs and stuff, but this is the only time I'll probably see it on the big screen. So you guys gonna check those out as well, right?
IU, I have to skip because I need to save money for my upcoming trips, so I'll have to sacrifice that one. I don't know about IVE yet.
Unfortunately for me, well, I will be seeing IU this week, but unfortunately, fortunately, I will be in Korea during the IVE premiere. And I think they already played that movie in Korea, so I'm not going to be able to see it in the States. And for the Red Velvet one, I have no idea what's happening there. So, but yeah, check out that IVE movie.
All right, I'll have to get y'all's feedback after I see the show and everything. So, man, it kind of gets me a little excited. I should probably watch more IVE stuff, I guess.
No, just go in blind. Go in blind. You're gonna love it.
Really? Going blind? Okay.
Don't think about doing research. Just go.
All right. That's the, like, out of all the movies that I've seen, they're going to be the group that I know very little about. So, but I'll go check it out because
Then you can come back with the perspective of a casual fan.
A casual, right? Oh man, we could do that. Alrighty, guys. Well, Does anybody else have anything they want to say before we close this out?
I have nothing to promote at this time. Not until I come back from Houston. So, yeah, because I'm going to see Triple S in Houston. So I probably will write a report for that. But other than that, I got nothing else to promote.
I might be going into Triple S super blind. Now think about it.
Best way to go, man.
Ping, what about you?
Check out the DMZ podcast, Diaries of an MZ Generation, here on Selective Hearing. It's my weekly podcast with my friend Justin. And that's pretty much it. Thanks again for having me.
You're welcome. And that should be all from us today here at Selective Hearing. Hopefully you guys will check out some future K-pop movie concerts coming to you really soon. Alright guys, say goodbye.
Bye.
リスハスビーン A セレクティブヒアリングプロダクション Please visit selective-hearing.com to download past podcast episode